The Cross Guild finally gets their first legend, with Buggy, Mihawk and Crocodile in a single unit, in a 2 new rare recruit bats, as well as a new anniversary specific legend for the upcoming quote-unquote treasure map Sugufest. I have actually made a full analysis and breakdown video for all the abilities of the Cross Guild. You can check that out, the link will be in the description, so I will be more brief here. In my opinion though, overall, this can be an extremely strong legend if used at its maximum capacity. The Cross Guild introduces a new damage output ability, a new mechanic where you set target status on the enemy, which ignores immunity and also allows your driven and slasher characters to do double the damage they would normally do without that application. And on top of that, they are able to provide great utility with despair removal, defense up and threshold reduction. And finally, they can also provide special cooldown reduction and great damage with 2 turns of an ore boost in their phase 2 part of the special and 3 turns of chain boundaries, which is definitely amazing. They are slasher and driven focused, they are also Q and have a Rush Sugo mechanic, which is not amazing but definitely a welcomed addition. Their support is not that great either, and their EX super can provide 2 turns of special cooldown reduction, which is definitely helpful because a Cross Guild crew will be dependent on special cooldown reduction, either from the kit of the Cross Guild legend themselves or coming from supports or other rare recruits in the crew. So the more special cooldown reduction you get, the better. That also might be a disadvantage, of course, in case you are unable to get the special cooldown reduction turns you need, and then you can't get the full special of the Cross Guild for maximum damage. And another problem you could face is enemies with resilience. They could work against the Cross Guild legend, but we also have to wait a bit for the legend to be released and see how the end of turn damage exactly works with special cooldown reduction from the first phase of their special. I believe the text we have so far is not that clear. In a quest where you need the entirety of the Cross Guild damage in 1 turn versus 1 enemy, it might be tough to achieve, because there you can't use the phase 1 mechanic where if the Cross Guild attacks and beats an enemy, then they get special cooldown reduction to essentially regain their special and activate phase 2 after that. You can't beat the main boss in this case, so you need the 2 turns of special cooldown reduction to come from another resource. That might be their EX super, but then you are not going to be able to get the 2 turns of special cooldown reduction you need to go from phase 2 to phase 3 in order to obtain the chain boundaries. If you don't have another EX super, in case you're using them as a double captain, you are going to need to get special cooldown reduction from supports or specials. And slasher or driven rare recruits or legends that provide 2 turns of special cooldown reduction and perhaps more utility or damage won't be super easy to find, so their team building could be tricky in these cases. Some of their teams definitely might be hard to find replacements for, and while I definitely wouldn't say using 2 out of the 3 phases of their special is the end of the world, you definitely lose out on a lot of damage and value from this legend. And in case you're thinking if despair is present, it can help, because of their captain ability converting despair into 2 turns of special cooldown reduction, it can't, because that will happen during the preemptive of the mini-boss, except if there is an interruption, but that almost never happens, so from the preemptive we are not going to get special cooldown reduction on the legend, because we have their special maxed out already, and then we need the 3 uses after the preemptive. Going back to the positives though, I love the combination of their classes, Slasher and Driven. It's not one of those legends that mainly focuses on boosting the bad guy characters or the good guy characters. A prime example for those combinations could be Fighter Free Spirit boosting or Powerhouse Driven boosting. I love that they are Slasher Driven because we can use good guy characters with them, like Zoro, Shanks, Kinemon, V2 Yamato, even Roger, and we can also use bad guy combinations with them, like Blackbeard, Albert, and even Kaido. Overall, I think we have a very interesting legend in our hands and I am definitely a fan. even though they do have their obvious weaknesses. My star rating for them will be 4 out of 5 stars. The first of the two new rare recruits is Mr. 3 or Galdino. He reduces damage by 80% for one turn. He can remove poison completely, which also means he can manipulate poison slots. He can change block slots and badly matching slots into matching. So while we do have slot manipulation, it's not for every slot, only block or unfavorable. He reduces attack down by 6 turns, which is huge, very good removal. And then we go into more class specific stuff. He is driven and striker. If 6 driven characters are on the crew, he provides a color affinity boost for 3 turns and increases the duration of slot boosts by 1. He also provides special cooldown reduction to our captains by 2 turns. Obviously an incredible combination with the Cross Guild. If 6 striker characters are on the crew, boosts their color affinity by 1 turn, but for a bit more. He still increases the duration of orb boosts by 1 turn, and this time he reduces the special cooldown reduction of the middle row characters by 2 turns. A good special, it can definitely be very class specific to get damage, because if you don't have 6 driven or 6 strikers in the team, then you just don't get damage from him. You still get the initial utility. But they really tried their best to make his special cooldown reduction as restricting as possible. Only 2 characters on the crew get it, and which 2 depends on if you have a full striker or a full driven team. You might not even get it at all. He definitely loses a lot of points for that. And if you get the new legend as well, using Galdino alongside them restricts you to a full driven team. Otherwise, not only you lose out on the special cooldown reduction, you lose out on the 3 turns of a color affinity boost as well. So the diversity I like about the Cross Guild legend is not present in this rare recruit. A strict limitation for the special cooldown reduction and the color affinity boost that you might not even need. I will rate him with 2 out of 5 stars. The next rare recruit is Alvida, Cabaji, Mohji and Richie, and as we can understand, the rare recruits focus more on the driven and crocodile/buggy side of the unit, not so much the Mihawk side and the slasher class, because I am guessing for the Mihawk side we have a lot of Zoro or even Shanks units in the game. We have a very similar situation with this rare recruit, just like we had with Galdino. They provide some generic stuff no matter what your team composition is, that is threshold damage reduction, 6000 HP of healing, or block for 1 turn and 6 turns of paralysis removal, and then depending on their classes, driven and striker once again, if you have a full driven team, then they provide a 3 turn attack boost for driven units and 2 turns of special cooldown reduction for the captains once again. But if you have a full striker team, the attack boost is for strikers for 2.5 times instead of 2.25 and also 1 turn instead of 3. And the special cooldown reduction goes to the middle row units, not the captains. The combination of these new rare recruits is kind of annoying. I do understand the synergy here, definitely, with 6 driven characters and the entirety of the new batch. You can have a multi-stage color affinity boost, attack boost, orb boost and chain boundaries possibly, but the thing is that to get all of that you need to limit yourself in only using driven units, and the rare recruits have a problematic synergy as well. First of all, they both provide damage reduction, either percent damage reduction or threshold damage reduction. On top of that, even if we do build the full driven team with the Cross Guild as captains, they provide the special cooldown reduction for the same row of characters, so the top row. And I can understand why, right? Maybe you want to activate the Cross Guild, then one of them, then the Cross Guild again, then the other, then the Cross Guild again, right? That does make sense, but the thing is, the Cross Guild also has their EX Super, so maybe the special cooldown reduction could be more useful if it was reversed. That would of course apply to one of these two new rare recruits. So in a full driven team, one in my opinion should give the special cooldown reduction to the top row, the other to the middle row, and for the full striker team, one for the top row, one for the middle row again. And then you can have these two units in the bottom row, of course to resist the special cooldown rewind if it happens. The thing is that outside of the Cross Guild, they don't make sense, because why would I want in a full striker team, let's say, to use them together to get 4 turns of special cooldown reduction for the same 2 units? It would simply be overkill. It would make much more sense, to me personally at least, for them to give the special cooldown reduction to different rows. And let's say for whatever balancing reason they didn't want to do that. Why is the requirement for a full striker team even there? You could just say the classic, if you have 6 driven characters then you get the 3 turns of the buff and the special cooldown reduction, otherwise you get a lesser buff for 1 turn and 1 turn of special cooldown reduction, for example. Maybe the striker requirement is there because we are going to get a striker anniversary legend Aokiji soon, but I am not so sure. Generally, I don't really like the design of these 2 rare recruits. And just like Galdino, my rating for this one will be 2 out of 5 stars. And these are my ratings and thoughts about the upcoming Cross Guild batch. Do you agree or disagree? Tell me your thoughts in the comments down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed the discussion, I would really appreciate it, and you can subscribe for more One Piece Treasure Cruise content. As always, thank you so much for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.